VisitTri-Valley, California presents Chef's Corner.
Okay, I'm Nick Musser with the Zephyr Grill and Bar here in downtown Livermore. We're going to make our Cajun rock shrimp penne pasta, one of our most popular dishes. Great dish, spicy, sweet, got all the great flavors of Cajun food. So let's get started. We're going to make a little Cajun marinade. We actually sometimes call this our thunder sauce because it's just so full of thunder. So we've got an array of spices we're going to start with here, including some red chili flake. Got a little dried thyme, some dried oregano, fresh parsley, fresh rosemary, a little bit of salt. This is what gives it the kick. We've got both ground black pepper and cayenne pepper. And don't worry, we're going to make a good size amount of this. You won't actually be using all of it when you make the dish. Lemon juice, soy sauce, honey. This gives it the nice sweet flavor to kind of balance some of that chili spice. And then whole garlic. Wow. Now, the garlic, in addition to giving it a great garlic flavor, also gives it some spice as well. So we put it in our food processor, and we're going to go ahead and turn that on, let it chop up some of those vegetables and all those herbs and spices so they're nice and mixed together. And then we've got some olive oil that we're going to slowly drizzle into this mixture as it's chopping it up. It's called emulsifying. We're actually making an emulsification with our sauce, which gives it kind of a creamy consistency. Make sure you drizzle that in slow. You don't want to put it in too quick or it will break, and then it will separate your oil away from the rest of your ingredients. And then it doesn't give you the real quality that you're looking for in the sauce. So once you finish that up, let it puree for maybe 30 more seconds or so, just to make sure everything's chopped up really well. And then we're going to take a peek at it. And then there's that real creamy consistency I was talking about. That's an indicator that we've got a good emulsification in here. Okay, so you've got enough here to make a batch of our Cajun rock shrimp penne 2 or 3 different times. You only need about 2 ounces per order. So let's go ahead and make the pasta. Confusing me here. Okay, so we got a saute pan. Here's our nice Cajun marinade that we made. We're going to use it now in the dish. We've got some penne pasta, which we're going to put in our boiling water here just to heat it up. Let our pan get a little bit hot. We're going to add a little bit of oil, just so our shrimp don't stick. We're going to start by adding our rock shrimp. Normally when I saute, I will add a little bit of salt at this point, but there's so much salt and soy in our sauce here that it really doesn't need it. I'm going to saute that shrimp up a little bit. We're going to add some fresh tomatoes. We're going to let those saute for just a minute or two as well. It doesn't take long for these little guys to cook, so maybe another 5 seconds or so. Then we're going to add our Cajun sauce. This is where you got to be quick. As soon as that sauce starts boiling, we're going to add in some whole butter, unsalted of course, and we're going to whisk it into the boiling sauce. And what it creates is a nice creamy Cajun sauce. Isn't that beautiful? Take a little bit of basil, put in there. Save a little bit for a garnish. I'm going to pull it off the heat because I don't want it to overcook. And then I'm going to take some of our Cajun, or our penne rather, dump that in. I'm going to toss it. And then waiting over here, we've got a nice, our serving bowl. We put some nice, what we call our Cajun crackers, and they're just basically grilled garlic croutons. We're going to pour that pasta right over the top of it. A little more fresh basil. And we are good to go. You know, I'm self-taught. So I've been cooking for 25 years, and I just had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people along the way, and learned a lot, and tested a lot, failed a lot, and worked my way up through the ranks, and found myself in an executive chef position 25 years later. The food concept, which is always fun to talk about, we call it aroused Americana, which always gives people pause. What's that? It's basically upscale comfort food is what we like to call it. We base our menu on a foundation of macaroni and cheese and meatloaf and fried chicken, and then in that we throw a spackling of fresh seafood and great steaks and pastas, and to the point where we even wrote a cookbook. We have our second edition of our cookbook out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where can you buy the cookbook?
You can get the cookbook on our website or at the restaurant.
Okay.
There's a story, but yet it is something I'm comfortable with. I'm, I guess one of the latchkey kids. Grew up in the 70s, so I'm all about that kind of, grew up on that kind of food. But in the 90s, when fusion cuisine was in its heyday, a group of us got together and we just decided that food didn't really seem to make sense anymore. It was going directions that didn't to us didn't taste good, didn't taste right, and it wasn't pleasurable in an experience. So what we did was we said, let's get back down to the roots of food that we grew up with. And so we came on the idea of the comfort food idea, but we wanted it in an environment that was still upscale, because we wanted people to come out and celebrate and enjoy it at a white tablecloth format. Mm-hmm. So that's when we came up with the aroused Americana idea. And we also thought, well, let's come up with something that's shocking to people, and that makes them ask the question, what is that? Because we love to answer, what is that? So that's kind of how the whole idea came up with. I love it all. I have to say that I probably indulge in the fried chicken every now and again. The great thing about the fried chicken is we actually take fresh chicken and we brine it. So that means we put it in spiced and salted water for 24 hours. That makes the skin nice and tight, so it stays crispy, and it also flavors the bird, which is an aspect of cooking fried chicken that a lot of people miss out on. Without seasoning it properly, sometimes the chicken underneath all the breading tastes like nothing. Mm-hmm. So we try to avoid that. And then we have our special Mystic seasoning that we came up with that we use on it, dip it in buttermilk, and then fry it. But the killer, the best part, is the homemade mashed potatoes that we do. And we make real cream gravy with bacon fat. I mean, once again, see, that comes back to the whole idea of comfort food and what I grew up with. I mean, my mom had a coffee can of bacon fat in the back of the refrigerator that she would cook the eggs in and make gravy with. And so I just love that. It takes me back.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Boise, Idaho. Kind of far away from either of our locations, but definitely middle America.
Okay. So that's part of where some of those culinary traditions come
exactly.
from?
Casseroles and mashed potatoes and meat and potato kind of dinners. When we first opened the restaurant 10 years ago and we were together as a group, the owner had sat down and said, well, we want the desserts with this concept. He goes, everything looks great. He goes, with the desserts, he goes, I want them to be big. And I said, okay, we'll make them big. He goes, no, you don't understand. He goes, they have to be big. I said, okay, I got it. We'll make the desserts big. I said, why are you so adamant about this? He goes, well, every time I go out to dinner, my wife and I will go out to dinner, we'll have a great dinner, we'll enjoy it, and then it comes to dessert, and my wife will always say, I don't want any dessert tonight. And I'll see something on the menu that looks really great, and I'll order it. And without fail, the waiter or waitress will always bring an extra spoon or fork when they bring the dinner, or when they bring the dessert. And my wife will always end up eating half my dessert. He said, I want the desserts big enough to where when my wife eats half, there's still enough left for me. And so we decided at that point that we were going to make all our desserts in the house, and they're all good size, let's put it that way. So we do the 7-layer of chocolate funeral fudge cake and a big piece of apple pie and the huge ice cream sundae. The creme brulee is probably the only one that's a little on the regular size. So this store probably is best representative of what all our stores do, but we kind of beta tested it here, where we were in a location that has fantastic wines all around us. Fantastic wineries. And what's great is that it's not just fantastic wines and wineries, but the winemakers are all right here. They're coming into your restaurant nightly, and you get to see them and speak with them, talk about their wines. And so we beta tested the idea of saying, you know what, let's become a partner with the wineries in showing their wares in our stores. And we loved it so much, and we got such a great response from the community that we actually took that and took it to our other 2 stores. So we do the same thing in Seattle with the local wines there. And we continue to this day to look for new wineries, new people, bring them in, taste their wines, try to present as many of the Livermore wines as we can.